Hello, beautiful people. Good morning. It's good to see you. If you are having trouble accessing the chat, hit refresh. It was disabled uh, because certain people that I talk about, if I leave the chat open too early, we get a bunch of biscuit heads coming in. So, hello. Good to see you. Happy Tuesday. It's a glorious day. Yes, it is. Shout out to everybody who's watching. Hit the like button, share the live. Well, this is a wonderful turn of events because the last time we talked about this, I was rather distressed. So I'm excited, genuinely. People got voice messages from me this morning because I finally had an opportunity to dig into it and read the report. But again, shout out to everybody who is watching. Shout out to all the members and the subscribers. We're inching towards 20,000. Help us get there. It's a wonderful way to support the channel. Shout out to all of the supporters in all of the places. Genuinely couldn't do it without you. You're hilarious. What is happening? Welcome. Black Main CL, hello, beautiful. Good morning. Marshall Irons, Goldie Vox, Positivity Bez, Positivity Bez. Hello, beautiful. Is this not a chair? Is it not? Good morning, Demetrius. Good morning, Divine Black Rose, Nisha. Good morning, Furry Bee. Poison Ivy, good to see you. Yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. Well, this is biscuit head assery put in check. My favorite kind. Yeah. So last we talked about this, I came to you all because I was really just like I was having one of those moments where it was a straw breaking the camel's back. Last week we talked about how I had actually directly focused on Nicki's social media activity because I had caught wind of the fact that she is promoting the SAVE Act, which is federal legislation that will make it harder for everybody to vote because you have to prove citizenship. 1,001 issues abound from that. So I went on to X to look at her X account and was absolutely mortified by what I saw because what I saw was, albeit at times janky and perhaps intentionally designed to look organic, a very obviously coordinated, designed campaign to support the SAVE Act, and a lot of disinformation about the SAVE Act and talking points around the SAVE Act. And it represents a change in her conduct online. Nicki is always saying inflammatory things, and she says inflammatory political things, and she's been doing that for several years. But this, I can tell you, as a communication strategist who has worked on many and many a campaign across various platforms and channels and designed content, talking points, organized amplification from partners to help push the message. I know it when I see it, and I clocked it right away. And it was disturbing to me because the SAVE Act is dangerous to Americans' right and ability to vote. If it was great, they wouldn't have to put out so much disinformation about it and play in people's faces, aka gaslight them about it. And so for me, it was a huge like alarm red flag. And I came here and I just sort of moaned and complained and did a lot of cussing about how I am distressed about the fact that across the board, whether it's celebrity or politicians, funders, activists, organizations, the fight back has not reached a critical mass and is largely ineffective. And it is extremely frustrating because the things that people like Nicki are doing are very dangerous. And we're already in a precarious place. And I know from my experience working in communications and management of the image of a thing that there is a distinct difference between giving the appearance of doing a thing and actually doing the thing. But if you're good enough at giving the appearance of doing the thing, that in and of itself can create the momentum for the thing to get done. And so even when people are putting up smoke and mirrors are dangerous. They're disorienting and they skew people's sight and make them think that they're seeing things that aren't real. And then they act on those things. And those actions are very real and they have repercussions on all of our lives. And the other thing that I said that I'm just plain disgusted about is this broad weaponizing American Blackness and American Black culture, American Black history, and American Black struggle to further her white supremacy. This is not true, and you can't quantify that as true. But it does speak to the heart of the issue. Because one of the reasons why I was really frustrated last week is because when you design a campaign, you have objectives and you have goals and you have key performance indicators that let you know if you are reaching your goals. What are the outcomes of the investment of the work that you are actually doing? Because all work is funded and budgeted by something. All campaigns, no matter how morally righteous or corrupt, are funded and coordinated by somebody. And then there's somebody above them who wants an accountability for whether or not that investment was worth it. And so one of the things that I was really frustrated about is it's very hard to figure out what Nicki's impact is with these kinds of actions on social media. And the main reason why is because it would take a study and an evaluation of data. But number two, because when Elon Musk took over X, it became increasingly difficult. And I would imagine that the data would reflect a dip. There's been a recovery, but there was definitely a point of dip where PR and communications firms were basically telling clients and consultants were telling clients, there's no point in using X as a platform for this thing that you are about to do because we can give you numbers. Some of them we can be really confident about, but the rest of them we can't be. And so when it comes to that accountability for the dollar and the investment, we know that the numbers are shaky and we can't stand on it. And if we know that as the consultants and the firm that are working on this thing, it's, responsible to the professional relationship with your client to say, don't invest there. Let's double down on other platforms and channels to help you reach your goals. And so last week, I was really wringing my hands about that because I want more information. I want somebody to be addressing like what is really going on here, what is real, what is actually being done, what is, no pun, a mirage, and what can we extrapolate from that. So yesterday, Politico, I didn't have an opportunity to read it until this morning, which is why we're talking about it today and not yesterday. Yesterday, Politico published an exclusive article that they had been able to get access to a report. Somebody commissioned a study on Nicki Minaj's X account for November and December 2025. And it's incredible. And I do believe this is before she really started, pounding the pavement on things like the SAVE Act, but this is when she was starting to ramp up her right-wing talking points and becoming a mouthpiece and a puppet for the administration. Speaking at the United Nations, going to Turning Point USA, these things were starting to bubble up around this time. And so somebody, an anonymous person, Rock Nation, commissioned, that means they paid for it. Somebody funded this. And to that person, I say thank you so much. I say thank you so much. And I hope you do it again. I really do. I hope you do it again. So, it is stunning to see the title. It's stunning. Inauthentic amplification of political discourse on Nicki Minaj's X account. A minimum of probably $25,000. And they only did 6 weeks worth of data. So there's the actual work, which again, minimum. And I'm actually thinking, the majority of, I've either worked majority with nonprofit organizations of every size, shape, and hue, or local government. And so there's always, you know what I mean? There's always like, I'm thinking of the mindset of a small budget and what are the essential questions that we need. Like, what is the slimmest but most compelling thing that we can do with money? So I'm going to say $25,000 minimum just to look at 6 weeks. So you have to do the thing. Then you have to quantify the thing. Then you have to have somebody come in and check your numbers. And then you have to actually design the report. You have to design this actual document, right? All of that is budget. And they went to a reputable one-stop shop where everything can get done in the same place. So, there are certainly, people out there with money who, and companies and organizations, but what I think is, I think that this was either a person or an organization that commissioned this report. And I think it is a hint of something. And we don't know what, because it's just a breath. It's not even a full breath. It's the inhale. We're not even to the exhale. But this, the mere fact that this exists is indicative of something. It's indicative of something else or other people also being fed the fuck up. And I'm not just talking about her. I'm talking about with everything that is going on and how it is happening. And they are starting to look at and identify, because celebrity as a part of propaganda has been essential throughout history. So while it's easy for people to just dismiss Nicki Minaj, you should not do that. That is to your peril. What she is doing is actually extremely dangerous. And is she the only one? No, but she is very visible. And what she is intentionally doing is she is giving the appearance. Remember, I talked about the appearance of the thing or the actual thing. She is giving the appearance of showing a critical mass of Black people supporting the SAVE Act. And there is a segment of white people who do think that we are monolithic. But at any rate, if you can trick anybody into believing that something has reached a critical mass with a very specific group of people, as a politician, you are going to have a reaction to that. Somebody has decided to peel it back and expose it. And I don't think it's going to be the only thing that we just see suddenly randomly exposed, seemingly randomly exposed. But this is a smart investment for whoever decided to drop the dime to get it done. It is a smart investment, because if you look at her as more than just a tool in the derogatory sense, and look at her as an asset of the right, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, they would not invest in her if she weren't having an impact. So somebody commissioned a report, and it is stunning. They went through roughly 6 weeks of Nicki Minaj's social media. And they looked at very specific things. Over a 2-month period, Cyabra conducted a targeted analysis of engagement activity on Nicki Minaj's official X account, focusing on political related posts and assessing the authenticity of the accounts interacting with them. The investigation identified a materially elevated level of inauthentic activity within the comment sections of these posts. 33% of the engaging accounts were assessed as fake, a proportion that is substantially higher than the baseline levels typically observed in organic social media discourse. Based on the scale, concentration, and behavior alignment of the inauthentic activity identified, Cyabra assesses with high confidence that a coordinated fake campaign was actively amplifying political content on Nicki Minaj's X account during the period reviewed. Let's put the 33% in context. So this says 33% of the engaging accounts were assessed as fake, a proportion that is substantially higher than baseline levels typically observed in organic social media discourse. So what are the baseline levels of bots observed in authentic online discourse? roughly 8%. So there's an authentic thing happening on social media. 8% of the engagement, roughly, baseline average, is going to be botted in some form. And that doesn't necessarily mean malicious botting. In terms of like the person who posted it is doing the botting to try and amplify it. Botting happens for 101 different reasons, right? It's just now a part of the experience. So, kind of the baseline average is typically around the 8% mark. For Nicki during this period, 33%. And the fact that this aligns so clearly, what I said to you all last week is there is a professional coordinated lobbying campaign that Nicki is pushing out right now on her social media. That takes assets, that takes meetings, that takes design, that takes review, that takes coordination with partners. Like it takes a bunch of different things. This isn't just her waking up and popping off on the mouth or getting some idea in her head and then running with it for a couple days. This is a professional effort by my professional observation. That's what my experience told me I was looking at. And that's what changed it for me because it becomes exponentially more dangerous. So they looked at 51 posts. They evaluated almost 56,000 X accounts. They identified almost 19,000 fake profiles and almost 32,000 fake comments. And these are the 4 pieces of Nicki related content. They didn't just look at, again, this is another reason why when you're asking like, what would somebody have paid to invest in this? They didn't just look at Nicki, at large on social media. They looked at very specific politically related content. In recent months, beginning primarily in November 2025, Nicki Minaj markedly increased the publication of political and ideological oriented content on her official X account. During the period reviewed, her posts consistently addressed contemporary political and social issues and included explicit expressions of personal positions, representing a notable shift from the views and themes she had previously expressed publicly. The political content published during this period primarily focused on the following areas: persecution of Christians in Nigeria. I'm feeling so smart right now. I'm feeling so smart right now. You know how many bots and bitches came to this channel when I started talking about Nicki's BS Christian Nigeria campaign? That's right. I said bots and bitches. Minaj published multiple posts highlighting the persecution of Christian communities in Nigeria, calling for increased public awareness. The content also included references from her appearances addressing the issues at forums such as the UN and America Fest. Crown me king. Crown me king. Opposition to gender transition. Minaj publicly stated opposition to gender transition for children, framing her position around the view that individuals should remain in the gender assigned at birth. Criticism of Democratic and liberal political actors. Minaj displayed repeated criticism of Democratic politicians and liberal ideology, including multiple posts directed at California Governor Gavin Newsom, as well as broader commentary targeting Democrats and progressive movements. Support for conservative political figures and organizations. Minaj publicly expressed support for conservative figures, including Trump, Vance, and engaged with conservative affiliated organizations and personalities such as Turning Point USA and Erica, the happiest widow, Kirk. This sustained publication of political content represents a clear shift in Minaj's activity on X and provides the context for the engagement and amplification analysis presented in this report. To properly contextualize Minaj's current political activity, it is essential to acknowledge that in the months preceding November 2025, she did publish political content. However, these earlier statements did not align with the pronounced right wing positions she has recently adopted. The sharp and rapid nature of this ideological shift represents a clear departure from her prior discourse, indicating a significant and sudden change in political orientation. Analysis of Minaj's, oh, they spelled it wrong. Minaj's political conversation when she began publicly embracing far right causes shows spikes in the conversation volume between October and December. This is so satisfying. This is so satisfying because what I was, cussing about last week was what is her reach? What is her impact? Exactly. And the spikes are where she leans hard right. And 33% of those are bots. That's so satisfying. I'm so happy. A significant portion of the fake accounts identified in the November to December campaign amplifying Minaj's political content had a documented history of promoting her earlier posts, predominantly those hostile towards other public figures. This reoccurring pattern indicates the presence of a sustained amplification network to advance her abrupt shift in political messaging. Amplifier accounts exhibit bot like behavior marked by little to no original content and high engagement with others' posts. Several of these accounts active in Minaj's political discourse were previously identified as part of botnet activity amplifying Minaj related content. So some of these bots are known to be bots. Look at Drakey Poo. Just going to pause here for the punch TDE inauthentically amplified post by a known previously identified Nicki bot. So they go through quite a few of these and give, a lot of examples. They also talk about the Real People Network, because bots only account for 33%. So they talk about the coordination of real people. When the conversation is limited to toxic content, a substantially stronger amplification effect emerges, reflected in a higher concentration of accounts. blah, blah, blah. These accounts predominantly amplify content produced by Nicki Minaj and Turning Point USA, indicating a notable overlap between the two within this discourse. Several of the accounts involved had previously been identified as exhibiting fake campaign like behavior in the context of Minaj's toxic online activity within and relating to the music industry. Turning Point USA is the plantation owner in this bot farm analogy, and Nicki Minaj is the sharecropper. I think it is precious, absolutely precious, that you think X cares about bots. Bless your heart. Yeah, Turning Point USA owns the plantation. Nicki Minaj is the sharecropper. So I know that this is very jumbled and, all of that. And they're talking about quadrant 2 up here. I'm more concerned about these things down here. Emerging contributors and those not yet activated, because that's another measure of impact. Cyabra's analysis identified systematic inauthentic activity within the comment section of Nicki Minaj's political posts. The engagement pattern indicate that these posts were repeatedly used as aggregation points for fake accounts to publish, reinforce, and amplify content. Across the reviewed period, 33% of all profiles interacting with Minaj's political posts were assessed as fake, totaling almost 19,000 accounts. This level of inauthentic participation is exceptionally high when compared to established benchmarks for organic social media discourse, where fake account presence typically ranges between 7 and 10%. So I said 8%. I was in there. The fake accounts did not operate independently or sporadically. Instead, they were consistently active alongside authentic users, posting during similar timeframes and adopting engagement rhythms that closely mirrored organic behavior. This pattern suggests a deliberate attempt to integrate into genuine conversations, increasing the credibility and visibility of the amplified content. The scale of influence was particularly evident. On December 26th, when fake profiles generated 56% of all comments on Minaj's political posts. You know why? Because it was fucking Christmas. People are not thinking about Nicki Minaj and what she's posting on social media on December 26th. So they had to ramp it up to 56%. On that day, fake accounts not only participated in the discussion, but dominated the conversation, materially shaping both its volume and momentum. So the lower line is inauthentic profiles and content, and the green line is authentic profiles and content. And what this shows is where the red line rises, it's pushing up genuine discourse. This is why I said being able to successfully give the appearance of the thing can help create the very thing you're trying to give the appearance of, right? And if it starts to look like a critical mass is forming an agreement about something, other people jump onto that. Oh, we agree too. We agree too. And those are real people that are jumping onto that. And then those real people are influencing real decision makers, or those real people are the decision makers. Fake profiles, I love this so much because I've talked about the cult of Nicki Minaj and the language that she uses around Christianity. I love this section so much. At first, I thought these were general examples, these words in the boxes. First, I thought these were general examples, but no, these are specific to Nicki Minaj. Fake profiles operated with a consistent objective, reinforcing positive sentiment toward Nicki Minaj. Using highly similar language and messaging, these accounts systematically amplified praise within comment sections, particularly in posts that attracted criticism from authentic users. Amazing, queen, support, proud, great, respect, win, inspiring, honor, powerful, progress, justice, leader, thank you, love you, beautiful, awesome, angel, God bless you, grateful. I love how they tag all of these as fake. I just have to say, I just love that they do that just so in case you were confused. All fake. Supportive comments generated by fake profiles were predominantly brief, repetitive, and low in semantic complexity, consisting largely of praising keywords and positive hashtags rather than original or substantive engagement. This pattern reflects a deliberate mass posting amplification strategy in which large volumes of simplified content are deployed to rapidly saturate comment sections, create the appearance of broad based support, and shape the overall tone of the discussion through scale rather than persuasion. I feel like a fucking genius right now. And then they just lay out a bunch of examples. So it may be hard to see what's happening in the background here, but you may be able to see that there's little red dots. And each of those dots represents a fake profile engaging with Nicki Minaj's X account. The clusters highlight patterns of interaction and include examples of the content shared by these accounts. Beyond high volume mass posting, the campaign deployed a second layer of inauthentic engagement through longer, more detailed comments designed to appear organic. These comments expressed explicit alignment with Nicki Minaj's positions and were used to manufacture the appearance of broad, engaged consensus within the comment sections. Somebody buy me dinner. Oh, I guess it's morning. Buy me lunch. These comments expressed explicit alignment with Nicki Minaj's positions and were used to manufacture the appearance of broad, engaged consensus within the comment sections. Rather than merely increasing visibility, this activity sought to legitimize Minaj's political messaging by creating the impression of sustained dialogue and meaningful endorsement from her audience. The fake profiles consistently amplified a small set of core narratives deployed repeatedly across posts. So, here are the categories. Nicki Minaj as a courageous and credible public voice. Fake accounts portrayed Minaj as a fearless truth teller, praising her for speaking openly, resisting public and industry pressure, and articulating views others are unwilling to express. Well done, beautiful. Well done. Yeah, help me power this little noggin. You know? Religious and Christian validation. A dominant narrative framed Minaj's statements as aligned with Christian values, thanking her for defending faith and positioning her as a moral voice in what was characterized as a hostile cultural environment. And she's calling for Don Lemon to be arrested. She's deploying a disinformation asset. She's setting off a chain of intentional events that she knows is happening. Fan loyalty and mobilization. Fake profiles adopted the language of committed supporters, emphasizing unity, loyalty, and collective defense of Minaj. These comments sought to normalize unconditional support and actively counter criticism. The following examples illustrate comments disseminated by accounts from the fake campaign. Example, Nikki, you are brave for living your truth. People might not always agree with what's being played out, but as an artist and watching your growth as a person is inspiring. Another one, the truth is, Black people are upset that Nicki Minaj isn't fitting in that box that they are trying to put her in. She won't be controlled and she's no sheep. God bless you, Nikki. Another one. Thank you for standing up for persecuted Christians in Nigeria while so many are silent and pretend it's not happening. Keep forcing people to pay attention and do something. I've seen a version of this next one a couple times. Tears rolled down my cheeks when I came across her post. So touching to see someone so influential like her using her platform to speak up for persecuted Christians here in Nigeria. Analysis of the fake profiles engaging with Nicki Minaj's political posts identified clear indicators of coordinated behavior, reflecting inconsistent and repeatable activity patterns across accounts. Key coordination signals include temporal synchronization. Fake profiles were routinely activated within the same 2 to 3 hour engagement windows, publishing supportive content in concentrated bursts. This pattern reflects planned deployment cycles, not spontaneous participation. Buy me dessert. Buy me dessert. I want a drink too. Let's get crazy. I want a drink too. Yes. Buy me dessert and a drink. I want a nightcap. Linguistic and stylistic uniformity. The accounts displayed a high degree of message standardization, consistently repeating the same narratives while reusing identical keywords, phrasing, and emojis, reinforcing message cohesion and visibility. 3, demographic alignment for credibility. The majority of fake profiles were presented as users aged 25 to 34, a demographic profile commonly perceived as politically active and influential online. This consistency suggests a deliberate effort to enhance credibility and reduce detection. Taken together, these indicators demonstrate a coordinated amplification operation designed to integrate seamlessly into organic discourse while systematically shaping engagement patterns and narrative prominence. The fake campaign relied on a network based amplification technique in which inauthentic profiles were deliberately interconnected and directed to engage with one another's content through follows, likes, replies, and comments. This approach artificially increases the visibility and perceived legitimacy of supportive comments, making them appear organically popular and widely endorsed. By reinforcing each other's activity, fake profiles created self amplifying engagement loops that elevated selective narratives within the comment sections. I really appreciate how plain language this is. By the way, that's somebody messaging me about this Nicki Minaj report. The clusters below illustrate groups of fake accounts from the campaign repeatedly engaging with one another on Nicki Minaj's political posts, demonstrating how coordinated internal interaction was used to drive reach, credibility, and prominence. Coordinated internal interaction. Yep, it looks like a disease because it is. I thought this was very interesting. The green in this represents authentic amplification, and the red in here shows the interaction between real accounts and bot accounts. So the campaign extended beyond inauthentic to inauthentic engagement, with fake profiles directly interacting with real users in Nicki Minaj's comment sections to influence organic discourse. The clusters below show interaction networks between authentic profiles, green, and fake profiles, red, demonstrating how fake accounts embedded themselves within genuine conversations. So the bigger green circles in this, for example, may represent a group of people, real people, who are having a conversation, and then the green comments and interaction that is happening around those people having the conversation. But the red is not peripheral. It's embedded, which means it's being interacted with. As if it were legitimate. The Nicki bubble is crazy. The Nicki bubble is really crazy because the thing that's very interesting about this is, at least what I feel like I'm picking up from looking at this visual, and the Nicki bubble, I know it's hard to see, but it's the one that has a little bit of her profile in it. She's not even the one generating the most discussion. She's not even the one interacting the most on the things that she puts out. She's got amplifiers. I would imagine one of these is TP USA. The coordinated inauthentic activity identified in this investigation had a measurable impact on engagement dynamics surrounding Nicki Minaj's political content on X. The impact of this activity extends beyond raw engagement numbers. By embedding themselves within authentic conversations, fake profiles shaped the visible tone of discourse and increased the prominence of supportive messaging. Overall, the findings show that the campaign was effective, using coordinated inauthentic engagement to materially influence perceived support and narrative visibility. Cyabra identified a coordinated fake campaign activity actively amplifying Nicki Minaj's political content on X, exhibiting clear indicators of deliberate engagement manipulation. Fake accounts were present at an unusually high level, representing 33% of total engagement on Minaj's political posts, well above normal social media baselines. The campaign's primary objective was reputational rather than political, focusing on reinforcing visible support for Nicki Minaj, particularly in posts that attracted criticism, in order to manufacture the appearance of broad public endorsement and a supportive fan base. So this is like early stages, right? Because she's just hooked up with TP USA. So even though she is pushing political content, the goal of this first, I'm going to call it stage one, This goal of stage 1 is to legitimize Nicki in the online space as a voice talking about these things. That's what they're doing first. There is, of course, some residual impact on people's perception of the things that they are talking about. But step number 1 is legitimize her as a voice. Skew the public perception of public support for her to make her appear to be a legitimate voice. Creating that appearance and that momentum then allows her to continuously position herself as a legitimate voice, or allows others to pick her up, because remember, she's just a sharecropper, and stick her somewhere and say she is a legitimate voice. This is classic. It's fundamentals. Fake profiles operated in a coordinated manner, showing synchronized posting activity, repeated use of identical keywords, and consistent messaging across multiple comment sections. The campaign generated significant impact by embedding fake accounts into real user conversations, resulting in 59,000 engagements and substantially increasing the visibility and reach of the amplified content. Oh no, baby. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, well, and this is another reason why you don't take people at their word. And you should always be aware of what the counterpoints are for anything that it is that you think that you support or believe. And you yourself should explore those things to figure out how certain you are about your convictions. Because sometimes we have to change our mind. And there's nothing wrong with that. But this reliance upon, we are just a lazy society. And we have also been conditioned to be a lazy society. It's not inherent. It's definitely not inherent. But we've been conditioned in this way. And we've been conditioned to just pick a proxy and let that person do the hard lifting. And then all we got to do is say, we support you. But we don't regularly go to our city or county council meetings. We don't, vote in the midterms to the degree that we should. We don't vote down ballot the way that we should. We don't stay in contact with our lawmakers the way that we should. We just expect them to be some kind of reflection of, our moral expectation. And that's dangerous to do. Because she is playing in people's faces, and it is blatant, and it is outrageous, and it's offensive. If I may say so. It's offensive in every way, shape, or form. The weaponization of American Blackness, the, the everything. It's the everything. We need more of this. We need a lot more of this. We need this kind of thing on a regular basis. And this is why, to the comment that came through earlier about, there was one comment that was about, well, after what she said about COVID, Black people people stopped listening to her. That's not true. And then also somebody said, well, I wonder how long it takes for the internal mechanisms of X to trigger, bot alert, bot alert. What I'm explaining to you is exactly the reason why bots are beneficial to Elon Musk. and why he does not police them to the degree that a responsible platform would or should. Because Elon Musk perfectly understands creating the appearance of the thing. And he's doing it in countries all over the world. He is interrupting in election activities in South Africa, France, Poland, parts of South America, here. Canada's got some concerns. The way that you, in this day and age, successfully get off a disinformation campaign is through mass botting. Exactly the way that they lay this out in 24 crisp, simple pages. Botting creates the appearance of the thing, and then real people adjust their perspective and their action and their opinion and their position based on that. It is a form of power. It is a form of power in political discourse, for damn sure. Because bots will sway how people perceive a thing. Because inherently, human beings want to fall into a group. They want to belong to and agree with and be with the group that disagrees with that group. Like, that's an inherent part of how we are conditioned to exist socially. And it is a manipulation of that. I'm one of those people where I don't give a fuck how many people say they like a thing. If I don't like it, I don't like it. And I don't care how many people, say, the earth is flat. You're never going to convince me of that, because you cannot actually present me with scientific evidence that that is true, or any kind of evidence for that matter. So, but that's not, I don't know that that's the average or the norm. That's just how I'm built. And I wasn't always that way. I I used to be able to be led because I had a bunch of insecurities, had a bunch of childhood trauma. I was adopted, just like all of these things. But it was through the lived experience of going along to get along and then getting fucked that made me realize, oh, that isn't actually beneficial to me. And a bunch of other things that made me realize I'm just better off standing on my conviction. It makes me feel better. And it wound up being one of my greatest assets. I'm gonna call it like I see it. So I'm thrilled by this. This is the greatest thing so far this week. It's Tuesday, so greater things could happen. I'm open to it. Why not? Why not? But this is it's soothing to my soul, It's hard, concrete information. It's data. Nobody's gonna do anything about this. I've definitely seen there have been some comments of people saying Nicki Minaj doesn't need bots. She's one of the most famous people in the world. This is absurd. Nicki did not respond for formal comment to Politico on the record. Turning Point USA did not respond for formal comment to Politico on the record. And I wish a motherfucker would sue. Who is going to sue this company? For what? First of all, it's a data analysis. You're going to sue them for what? You're going to open yourself up to discovery for what? They didn't say that Nicki is, you know, the sharecropper on the plantation. I said it. That's my opinion. It's an analogy. They said there's clearly some coordination between posting and botting activity. There are patterns. It's very easy to see. Also, Turning Point USA is right there. But they did not say these entities are botting. That's what everybody else is saying, like me. When I'm like, okay, I think that Nicki has been botting her social media for a while. I think that this is just my opinion based on reading this report and the fact that they said that there were accounts involved in this that were previously identifiable as bots, but were supportive of Nicki. So I think Nicki has always, with her BS that she posted, she's always been doing a little bit of botting, or somebody in her camp or in her fandom bots her stuff. And I think her effort linked up with TP USA's effort so that they could integrate to give it the appearance of looking more organic. And I think TP USA is the one that's funding it, or somebody in their orbit, one of their partners. Israel. Yeah. I think it's great. I hope they do it again because I would love to know. I would love the exact same 24 pages on, you know, the SAVE Act and what she's been doing around that. But it's a stunning document, and it is incredible that it even exists because it's indicative of something much bigger, much deeper, and much more insidious that, as I said before, has played out throughout history many, 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 many times. So on the one hand, I feel better. On the other hand, I'm alarmed. And then, on both my feet, I'm like, well, somebody is doing something. And what I wouldn't give to know who that is. I am so curious to know who commissioned this report. You're gonna have to run it back for the replay, beautiful. It's a lot. So, well, this is the reason why I think there might very well in the future be another report, is because one of the things that you can identify in reading this is, and I know that they have a lot more, data, probably hundreds, if not thousands of pages that's not published with this. But yeah, I would love to know, like, what's the before and after impact on how the bots operate now that this information is public? Are there certain accounts that go away that were identified, or do they change their handle? What in the semantics of language changes? What are the topics that they focus on? Obviously, the SAVE Act being one of them. I'm still getting messages about this report. Um, so that before and after would paint a fascinating picture. How did operations adjust based on all of this being identified on the public record? I mean, this is just they slice it up Full dissection. Succinct, plain language, uncomplicated, full dissection. They got her whole cement ass hanging out there for everybody to see. We don't have any reason not to believe literally everything in the report. Thank you, beautiful. We don't have any reason not to believe everything in that report. When Politico said exclusive, I said, what? What? Who did this? That was my immediate reaction. Who did this? And then that just sent my brain off in different directions. Who did this? And what does it mean that they did it? It means something. It means something. And this is just our first little glimpse, I hope. Meanwhile, the Democratic National Committee is preparing to release a report about how Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's positions on Gaza and Israel impacted the outcome of the election. The Democrats suck. But anyway, this report is great. It's going to be a docuseries. They're going to have to I'm going to say it's going to be at least 10 episodes. We're going to get 3 episodes of why did I almost call him Lil Henry? What the hell is the matter with me? Lil Wayne, 3 episodes of Drake, 3 episodes Nicki, and then, you know, ad hoc shit. Oh, thank you, beautiful. And you are welcome. The point of releasing the report. Good question. What is the point of releasing the report? Well, at the very least, when you decide that you're going to make something public, the purpose is you want people to know. And you've decided that you don't care. This obviously isn't something to be done in secret. It is something to be done publicly. And they had all the conversations. First of all, do we even want to do it? Second of all, what if we get sued? They thought about all of the things and decided, because they could have said, we're not doing it. Call somebody else. That's always an option. But this company decided to go through with it. And I'm basing my comments on Politico's reporting, wherein they say, whoever commissioned this report, that name is not available. So I base my comments on that bit of reporting. Maybe it will become public in the future. Who knows? But so we're for funsies in my head spitballing here right now. But they made it public because that was the whole point, was to make it public. And when you inject new information into the situation, you change the perception. of the thing that may not exist in the form that it purports to be. And you also empower people to say, I fucking knew it. You help to put it in a great deal of context. You inform the rest of the media. So, if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't see anybody talking about this on social media. I mean, there definitely are people talking about this on social media, but this is damning for Nicki Minaj when it comes to the media. Because again, the purpose of this first stage of this effort is to legitimize her. So it undermines her legitimacy. Because media outlets they're now going to know this. And I wouldn't be surprised, because right now mainstream media, particularly political media, when she tweets something political, they cover it and they cover the discourse around it. Their perception is altered with this report, and that's fantastic. Because right now, up until this point, the media has never differentiated between Nicki Minaj's authentic impact on Twitter and her inauthentic impact. And now they have to at least know that. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the future, when they are covering something that she said on X, they start to develop kind of like a standard few sentences or paragraph about how in February 2026, a report was commissioned that found 33% of, right? So it's not supposed to be this magic wand, aha kind of thing. But for the infrastructure around political discourse, which includes the media, this is critical information to be aware of. It also is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Yeah, your non-photoshopped photos are out there for everybody to see. We can see all the cracks and repairs and spackling in that ass. That's not what you want. Also, the internet is forever. So it has an effect. And the more it gets exposed, the bigger impact it's going to have. Because there will become a point in time, I do believe, that the impact that botting is able to have right now on social and political discourse is going to go away. We don't have a general understanding as a human society on this planet of its existence, how it works, what its impact is, how to deal with it. We don't have enough consistent legislation around it, et cetera, et cetera. But, and those things are happening, building, and changing. But then there are also moments where the other impact is that if people can no longer, en masse, at a critical mass point, if people feel like they can no longer trust what they see on a platform, they will stop fucking with it. So in America, we're up in arms about, oh my God, they made Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fight. In the UK, they did it with lawmakers. The reaction is completely different. In America, it's like, oh my God, Hollywood is pushing back and freaking out. In the UK, it's like, oh, this is dangerous. If people can't trust that a video that they look at that is supposed to be their elected official is their elected official, they're going to stop believing everything that is on that platform en masse. We tend to jump over that, right? because we can be a little nihilistic as a society and a little dramatic too. Like, you get these kind of grand statements of like, you can't tell what's true and what's not true. You can't tell the difference between this, that, or the other. No, on this platform, you can't tell. But in other places where there are laws and standards, right? But on this fucking wild, wild west, no law applies platform where anything fucking goes, and Donald Trump is, at the Olympics fighting the Canadians on the ice, it will become folly at some point in time. I can't tell you when, because we're in the past the thresholds of where we've been before. But it's happening where entire platforms lose credibility in communities and countries because of the shenanigans. And the higher the stake, right? In America, they play in our faces. We need a little bit more priming. So they play in our faces with ridiculous images of Donald Trump and, Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fighting each other, or whoever the fuck it was. In the UK, it's much more extreme, and therefore the reaction is much sharper, and action happens much quicker. They're like, we'll ban your bitch out the entire EU. You don't pull this shit together. We're not going for it. In America, where X has been basically completely deregulated, anything fucking goes because all of these political players are playing dirty. Trump bots his shit on X and on his own platform, which is crazy. Elon bots his shit on X, his own platform, which is crazy. People aren't going to stand for that kind of manipulation forever. I don't need to wait and see anything, babe. I just read it in a report and I've been known. I don't need to wait for a critical mass to figure it out. On this channel, babe, exposed. Exposed. Fully. We talking about the spackling on her cement ass. I'd call that exposed. Lil Wayne is younger than Kendrick Lamar? Are you playing? Baby, everybody has studied it. Everybody has studied it. People are using it and responding to it differently. So yes, I am aware of what is happening in France and how they're like, I don't fucking think so. This is dangerous. In America, they're like, ooh, dynamite. I'm gonna go play. My friend's out back with the matches. Thank you. Yeah. Baby, you had me concerned for a minute there. I'm trying to focus. We're having a serious conversation about the future of democracy. You distracted me. Whew, Lord. Oh boy, existential meltdown. Yeah. So I guess, you know, robot titties. I don't think that I've felt this way for a couple years. I don't think that we have an accurate accounting or perspective on what Americans do or do not know. And I think that's part of the challenge is um the perception is that they don't know. Um I don't believe that to be true. There's another perception that they don't care or think that the difference is meaningless, and I definitely don't believe that to be true at all. What I do know for sure is that if we just wanna make it clear and simple in terms of categories and talk about Democrats and Republicans, just for the sake of simplification, okay? Just for the sake of simplification. Republicans outspend Democrats on everything. Everything. They are happy to invest in their political position and their political future. Democrats are not. It's annoying as fuck. As fuck. And it's been a problem for 25 years. I mean, longer, 40, 60. You could pick any pivot point. But I would say for the last 25 years, Democrats have really been on the back foot. And when I say Democrats, I mean the whole orbit, everything around it. Um, including, defenders of democracy with a, left-leaning slant. They just don't do it. And it is hugely problematic because we need more of this. We need more fight back. We need more campaign. We need more visibility. We need more research. We need more plan. We need more behind the scenes people doing work. And Democrats and progressives just don't fucking invest. They are not about it. And it is maddening. They whine a lot about, well, what if it's a waste? And well, how do we know it's going to actually? Yeah, but and you all know that when you start that on this channel, I'm like, stop right now. I don't want to fucking hear it. Because fix your face. And what the fuck are you talking about? You're not going to fight because they hit below the belt. So you're not going to fight because they hit below the belt. You're in the ring. They hit the bell. The ref is looking at fuck all. And you're going to sit there and bitch about it? If you don't sock that motherfucker in the mouth, It's hugely problematic. So we need some balance there. We need some balance in resource and commitment and investment in the fight at every single level. You don't hear about the Democratic version of the Heritage Foundation. You don't hear about Democratic think tank institutions that are power brokers that pick judges at every level of the bench. You don't hear about that kind of stuff because Democrats and progressives don't do it. Yes, I am aware that there are 1,000,001, okay, Democratic and progressive think tanks out there. So I sound like I'm extremely contradictory. The level of investment is not the same, period. We are always on the back fucking foot, and it's a problem. She's a white supremacist, so I think that cuts right to it. So we can skip over misogynoir and just stay rooted in anti-blackness, the full spectrum of gender identity, anti-blackness, period. That's what a white supremacist does. Yes, this is true. Thank you. I was getting frustrated and starting to rant a little bit. Yes, we've talked about this before. Uh, Democrats have a complex when it comes to doing things out of the goodness of your fucking heart. Shit costs money. It's absurd. And they think, goodwill is just supposed to happen. That's not how it works. So, yeah, they Democrats act like goodness is the default setting. And Republicans are the ones that need to chill and revert back to the default setting of goodness. Republicans are like, "Nah, no thanks. We're gonna keep steamrolling everything. Y'all gonna keep singing kumbaya? Okay. Okay. We're gonna take back, women's rights while you're singing kumbaya." It's infuriating. So there's a lot of, you know, people are just supposed to be good and there needs to be more goodness and then also Democrats aren't the best at taking advice. When it comes to creating a plan and executing the plan, everything is a fucking issue. Everything. Republicans just want it done. They want it done. They want it on time. Democrats want 6 meetings about the color scheme. How many languages are we gonna translate it into? Which pronouns should we be using? Republicans just want it done. And I'm not saying that those things aren't important. They are when you talk about audience targeting, and blah, 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 blah. But there's a whole lot of I can't tell you how many meetings I have been in where I am just like, none of these people really needs to be here. Number one, this could have been an email. You could have just sent your feedback. And number two, I don't give a shit how you feel. I got to sit here and listen to how you feel about the color scheme for the ad we want to put on television about democracy. I don't give a fuck about how you feel. Now, if you want to have a conversation about accessibility and is the text on screen visible and does it pass the standards of, we can have that conversation. I don't give a fuck how you feel about the goddamn colors. Jesus Christ. And then there's never just one of them, unless you're working on an election campaign, which fuck that. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. They all have feelings and feedback, but feelings more than feedback. And they love to hear themselves talk. They feel like that is core to their job, is talking. And you just ate into the development budget on something that could have been an email. So a lot of things don't get done to the degree that they could be because development dollars are wasted dealing with everybody's fucking feelings. Yeah. It sucks. Yes, they did. And that plan was put together by younger, blacker and browner, non-whiter members of the Democratic Party across the country and members of the DNC across the country. And the white people said, we think you need more experience. And this is why I hate George Clooney today. This is why I hate George Clooney today when he wrote his stupid open public letter saying, oh, Joe Biden's just kind of old. I think we need somebody younger. Oh, really, motherfucker? Do you really? We agree. We agree. We've been fighting that fight for 30 fucking years. And your old white friends in the party and their donors, more of your old white friends, have been stomping on non-white Democrats across the country and telling them to wait their fucking turn and they just need a little bit more experience and blah, 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 blah for 30 fucking years. And now we have a fucking vacuum. We have no viable candidate for the next presidential election. Gavin Newsom is not viable. He has to be the president of the whole country. So, well, now I want double dessert. Now I want double dessert. While living it, motherfucker, if you don't sit down and shut the fuck up. He goes right into the dustbin of fuck you with Susan Sarandon and Rosario Dawson. And he'll be there forever. I don't care. Fuck George Clooney until the day he dies. Because I can tell you who's not behind the scenes fighting to bring in money for younger, non-whiter Democratic candidates. I can tell you who's not there. George Clooney. He's in Italy drinking wine. Yep, you're right. They got 1 year. And I don't know, guys. Who do you think should be the next president? Walls is not going to run for president. If he's not going to run for governor, he's not running for president. Kiki says Pete. Not that Pete, the other Pete. Pete Buttigieg, not Pete Hegseth. She's perfectly unqualified to be president of the United States, and I'm sick of her. And that would not work either. She would never get elected. A viable candidate, guys, viable candidate. Who do you think is a viable candidate for president of the United States? It's not a trick question. If you think I'm going to drop a name on you, I'm not. I don't have the fucking answer. I'm looking for ideas. This is the governor of Chicago, correct? Better than Gavin politically, but I don't think he could get it done. But I think he would be a viable candidate. I think Pete could be a viable candidate. This is a joke. Mm. 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 Unfortunately, I agree with you. Unfortunately, I agree with you. It is not going to James Tallarico is not going to be president of the United States. Period. In the next presidential election, that's a fucking joke. Oh, what did I say, Governor of Chicago? I'm looking at your comment like I don't understand what you're correcting me for. Got it. Governor of Illinois. Yes. I'm smart. I know. What do you think about what if I'm just curious of what you all think. What if Kamala or Hillary ran for president? Try not to think about their last performance. Try to think of them running in the context of what it is that the country is dealing with now, and then how the country is going to feel after 3 more years of this shit. Do you think any of them, either of them, would be a viable candidate for president? Jon Stewart's never going to run for president. You can only have one president. So I'm talking about president, not ticket. I think he's probably going to run, but I don't think that he's going to be president. He comes across, well, he's got an interesting personality, okay? And I could see perception of him rubbing some people the wrong way. And by some people, I mean a large swath of the South and parts of the Midwest. Not Hillary, Kamala, but Hillary, please no. F Hillary, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna hold you. I love this right here. LOL, Hillary Clinton. Wow, it's been a long day and it's not even noon. Facts. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that she'll do it either. And whoever runs for president is in a dicey situation on a couple different issues, right? I mean, Israel is going to be a major issue in the next election. And there's a big disconnect right now between the American people and the people that they elect. And then there's another gap in between the American people, the people they elect, and America's current and historic foreign policy. So that remains one of the trickiest things that the candidate is going to have to do. Because by the time we get to this election, people are just going to want to know. I mean, a nuanced take is fine where you can explain your position on something, but people just want yes or no. Do you support Israel? Yes or no? Do do you support a two-state? Do you support this? Do you support that? Do you yes or no? What are you going to do? I don't want to hear your flowery shit. So, it's going to be hard for whoever it is, even if it's just Gavin Newsom. It's going to be hard. He's not going to run for president. I said a viable candidate. He is not going to run for president. Well, first of all, we didn't do this shit. Second of all, what do you want from me? Okay? What do you want from me? You want me to say don't vote for a woman because she'll actually clean up the mess? What the hell? Come on, Aaron. Come on. There should not be a single fucking celebrity on the list. I agree. No, she wouldn't do that. 'Cause she's politically savvy and she wouldn't do that because that's not a campaign to run on. I told you so as a campaign is dumb. Let's not do that. And people aren't going to give a shit at that point in time. So that's not going to get you elected. What's going to get you elected is a concrete plan that people believe can be delivered. She already did the I told you so campaign. She wrote a book. She went on a campaign tour. That was the I told you so campaign. That's over. Yeah. Cory Booker. Chat. I'm trying not to lose it. Harrison Diggs says, I was going to bring up Cory Booker, but he's pro-Israel, so he won't win. He didn't even get that many votes in 2020 in the Democratic primary. Cory Booker will never, mark my words, never, ever, 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 not in this timeline or the next, be president of the United States of America. Ever. No. Remember how I said Stephen A. Smith is too ugly to be president of the United States? Cory Booker too goofy and awkward to be president of the United States. A bald president. What's his name? Was partially bald. We've had a couple. Who's the guy that Gerald Ford? Gerald Ford was maybe I'm thinking of a different one. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith is never, ever, ever, ever going to be president. He is a token being spent daily. That's all he is. He's a Nicki Minaj, but in the sports world. I bet if somebody did an analysis on his political content on X, you'd see similar kinds of trends. You'd see a bot operation around his content and around trying to make him into a legitimate voice in the political arena. So, I mean, for me, this report is aha level of revelations to me. And it's going to change how I view certain actors on the internet heretofore. And that's just good for me internally. That's just good balance for me to have. Yeah, that's another reason why I appreciate and respect this damn report so much because it's not the thing to necessarily end the fight, but it is its own little game changer. Illumination is always a game changer. Being able to see what it is that people are obscuring from your site that is allowing them to do what it is they're doing or giving them the appearance of doing something is always a good thing. But I want to see fight. I want to see more people be exposed and called out. And I want to see this kind of information become routine, a normalization of actually you body ass bitch. This is a coordinated disinformation campaign. And there are thousands of these happening online every day. So yeah, I'm thrilled to the gills about this. Yay. I gotta go. It's Tuesday. Gotta get back to the day. But it was great to see you all. It was great to have this conversation. I am so completely, genuinely thrilled about this information. Yep. I'm gonna go figure out what I'm gonna have for lunch while I listen to and respond to messages. People in the real world going, holy fuck. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Pretty great. Pretty great. Pretty great. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you again very soon. Peace.